Hi, I'm Rick Karlin, and I'm going to be reading from my book, Paper Cuts, My Life in Chicago's Volatile LGBTQ Press. In his extensive history of the LGBTQ press, Unspeakable, The Rise of Gay and Lesbian Press in America, Roger Streitmatter stated, reading gay publications has served as a first tenuous step for men and women embarking on the very personal and often profoundly difficult journey toward acknowledging their homosexuality to themselves and the world around them. That proved especially true for me. The LGBTQ press provided the opportunity for me to take those first tenuous steps, made easier because I now knew that I was not alone. I married quite young, and soon afterwards realized I was gay. I decided to tell my wife, but before I could work up the nerve, she told me she was pregnant. I tried to make a go of the marriage, but eventually came out. Gay Life newspaper was my only connection to the gay community at first. Not long after my wife and I separated, there was an ad in the classified section of Gay Life for a gay parents rap group. I joined the group and Sue became co-leader, mostly because I was the only man that attended. I was responsible for submitting the classified ad in the paper each week. The ads were free, but had to be mailed or dropped off at Gay Life's downtown office every week, typewritten on a 3x5 index card. When I first entered the office of Gay Life, I expected it to look like a scene from the movie The Front Page. Instead, I entered a dreary-looking office room and was greeted by a woman who looked like a heavier version of Janis Joplin. She stopped her furious typing long enough to take the 3x5 card with the parents group information and drop it in a wire basket with dozens of others. That scene repeated itself for a few months. Eventually, she was joined at a neighboring desk by a thin man with an enormous mustache. As the months went by, I worked up the courage to speak to them, and soon learned that their names were Sarah Craig and Steve Kulicki, the editors of the paper. One day I mentioned to them that I enjoyed some cooking columns they'd run. Sarah said that the writer had left town and asked me if I would like to take over. I was a product of the Chicago public school systems and had never written anything more than a few essays in English class. Could I write? I didn't know. So I told them I'd try and would bring them a column soon. The recipe part of the writing didn't faze me. I'd been interested in cooking since I was a child. When my son was born, I dropped out of college and managed to talk my way into a job at R.J. Grunt's, one of the city's most popular restaurants, where I worked my way up from line cook to sous chef within a year. Riding the subway home the evening after the offer from Gay Life, I took out a notepad and began to list possible topics for a column. I returned the next day with one about hosting a party called Out of the Kitchen and Into the Party. As I handed the typewritten sheets to Sarah, I was so nervous that my hand was shaking. I stood in front of her, waiting for a response. Never occurred to me that she might have something more important to do. Seeing me stand there, she read the column and started laughing. She handed it over to Steve, who also chuckled a few times. Thanks, we'll run it, was all he said. Sarah added, deadlines are Monday, and then, what do you want to call it? There was a TV chef at the time known as the Galloping Gourmet, so I offered the Gay Gourmet. On June 22nd, 1979, Gay Life ran the first Gay Gourmet column. That led to others. Eventually, I moved from Gay Life to Gay Chicago Magazine, and from food writer to entertainment editor. I eventually wrote for or edited for almost every LGBTQ publication in Chicago. Paper Cuts is my recollection of writing for Chicago's LGBTQ press for more than 4 decades. I don't purport to be historically objective, and some timelines may have gotten a little jumbled. I did live through the 70s and 80s after all, but I hope to give a truthful report of my journey, ranging from the time when I handed in a hard copy to uploading my files to syncing computers across the country and always facing a deadline.